All right, so we've been bringing you breaking news for about the past 30 minutes with the inclement weather, snowfall and rainy conditions around South Africa. There is some breaking news at this particular time. You'll see there at the bottom of the screen, the snowfall also affecting ports of entry. Let me go straight to Mema Mokgotsi, who is the Deputy Assistant Commissioner for Communication and Marketing at the Border Management Authority. Ms. Mokgotsi, a very good morning to you. Thanks indeed for your time. This is indeed breaking news. We do understand a number of ports have been affected by the inclement weather. Are you able to give us more details on which ports of entry have been affected?
Well, thank you, Cressida Lewis, for having me, and greetings to the SABC viewers. Just to announce that the Commissioner of the Border Management Authority has inquired for us to issue a notice to travelers so that we inform them of the closure of 3 ports of entries that we are operating in, which are Sunny Pass Port, Bushman's Neck, as well as Mononta port of entry. And you know that these 3 ports of entries are the ones that facilitate movements to the Lesotho travelers. So due to this weather, Cressida, we had to ensure that we close the weather. We close the ports of entries due to precaution that we had to take to ensure the safety of our travelers and as well as officials that are operating at the port.
Ms. Mokgotsi, in terms of interruptions, I would understand that in particular because it is a long weekend, you'd have a lot of travel between South Africa and Lesotho where these ports are that have been affected. What is the alternative route? I do understand in your statement that you were cautioning motorists to use alternative routes.
Yes, because we had to work on contingency measures, and as part of our business continuity, we had to ensure that, we advise travelers that we have available ports like Fixback Port of Entry, Caledonsport, Makaleng, as well as Maseru Bridge port of entries, that we have informed travelers that those ports are open at the moment, and we're advising them to make use of those alternative ports for them to be able to still travel to Lesotho. This morning when we woke up, we realized that the snow has escalated overnight, and we had to ensure that, we make a surveillance of all the ports that are still open to ensure that we don't interrupt our businesses, and we ensure that the passengers who still want to travel and the travelers who still want to go to Lesotho are accommodated. It's going to be a bit of a long stretch, but we're advising them that, these ports, the 4 ports that are open, are able to accommodate them. And in this regard, our officials are on site and they're facilitating movement, accommodating the travelers from the 3 ports that have closed.
Yeah, you'd obviously have to beef up on your service as well as the BMA, because in all likelihood, due to these other ports being closed for this period, this will put definitely some pressure on the Fixburg port, Caledonsport, Makaleng, as well as the Maseru ports, where everyone now who's traveling in that particular area is likely to flock towards. Are you likely to have more staff complements there to assist possibly with what might look to be possible long lines due to the fact that we're also headed or in a long weekend?
Yes, Cressida, you're actually right. In terms of our analysis of supply and demand, when we realized this morning that we had a challenge with the 3 ports that have been closed, we had to beef up officials to capacitate the 4 ports that are currently open. And we are monitoring the situations, and we have officials on the ground that are advising us in terms of the queues and the numbers of travelers that are being processed through the ports. Currently, we're looking at Maseru, which is the one that is close to proximity for most travelers, which is in the Free State. So we have now advised that, Maseru port be also capacitated adequately so that, it's able to accommodate the volume of travelers that are in that area.
Ms. Mokgotsi, and obviously there's no indication at this stage in terms of when these ports are likely to be opened? I mean, you obviously don't control the weather, so dependent on when the weather conditions change, perhaps you'd need to relook at the situation.
Yes, definitely. What we've noticed is that the snowfall is quite heavy in the areas. We're looking like at 0.5 meter of snowfall, the length at which the ports are affected. So we have advised travelers that we are closing the port today, but most likely the port will still be closed by tomorrow. And by tomorrow afternoon, we'll assess the situation and ensure that we issue further communication if we are able to accommodate travelers on Monday. And if we are not able to accommodate them, we'll still communicate by tomorrow to ensure that they make alternative arrangements and make use of the available ports that we have opened for them to utilize.
And of course, this is likely to be a multidisciplinary team that would need to work on this. Perhaps somebody might get this message as they've traveled towards the direction where these ports have been affected. Are you working with other agencies as well, maybe trying to speak to emergency services? We understand, of course, due to the inclement weather, in places like the N3, there are emergency services that have been deployed to areas where we understand that there are some people trapped. Do we have any idea? I saw one of the pictures that the BMA had sent out. You see one of your vehicles is totally snowed under. So what is the likelihood of you teaming up with other institutions to ensure that if there's anyone who's trapped, you also have officials that might assist in this regard?
Yes, thank you for that, Chrisella. And you are right. In terms of our port environment, we have to work with our multidisciplinary teams, which are other law enforcement agencies. We have the South African Police Service, we have the South African National Defence Force, as well as traffic management and emergency services that are on site to ensure that, all travelers are facilitated properly and we don't have any emergencies. So at this point, in this regard, the vehicles of the BMA that are parked at the current ports, there is snowed under, but we've arranged alternative transport for colleagues that needed to be taken home due to vehicles that could not move. We had to make those arrangements. But for other travelers, we are working with our close law enforcement authorities to ensure that, no one is stranded in the roads towards the ports that we are operating in. And at this point, we don't have any incidents that we can report in terms of emergencies or colleagues that are stuck or travelers that are stuck in terms of not being able to reach their destination.
Member Mokgotsi, thank you very much indeed. Speedily speaking to the SABC News, we do appreciate your time here on the SABC News channel. Member Mokgotsi, the Deputy Assistant Commissioner for Communication and Marketing at the Border Management Authority. The inclement weather affecting even the ports of entry now, some towards the area, towards Lesotho there. But just to bring you up to speed in terms of if you just managed to catch what has just been said, we have a situation where there are 3 ports of entry that have been affected, and those ports of entry that have been spoken about there are the Sunny Pass, the Bushmansneck, and Monontsha ports of entry. The operations there have been closed today for further notice due to the heavy snowfall that has fallen basically there. But travelers, of course, and this is likely to cause a lot of delays, it's also likely to cause a whole lot of traffic which might take place there. Travelers are being advised that the Vicksburg port, Caledonspoort, as well as Makaleng, as well as the Maseru ports of entry can be used as alternatives to enter Lesotho. So that breaking news at this hour.